Okay, excellent. Great work. All right, how do we record? We've done this a million times. There we go. All right. I think my theory was right about that loopy thing, by the way, because...
yeah, we didn't have it at all yesterday.
Yeah.
Good job with the...
and it's usually right when it kicks in, and doesn't always do it, but when it does, it's always then, at least according to my logs, so I think that's it. Really stupid. Really stupid. It's an I.O. thing, right? Obviously, because it's all...
It has to be, yeah.
All the USBs are fighting for space.
Right.
Anyway, all right, here we go. Thanks for being here. We're doing it right now in 3, 2, 1.
I am Llewellyn Sinclair. I have directed 3 plays in my career, and I have had 3 heart attacks. That's how much I care. I'm planning for a 4th.
Me, my momo.
The Morning Stream. You're a freak and a cannibal, and you've come to the wrong town.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the TMS show. That's the Morning Stream. It's Tuesday, November 12th, 2024. I'm Scott Johnson, and that's Brian Ibbett. Hi, Brian.
Hello.
Oh.
Acting.
I got to season 4 of The Simpsons, and when it's on in the background, I kind of just passively record, so that if any gems pop out, and I'm like, man, they had John Lovitz on a lot. He was Marge's high school girlfriend, then he was this playwright guy. He was eventually the critic guy. That's, I think, another season away.
He made a little... Yeah, made a cameo appearance as the critic.
Yeah, and then something else he was the other day. But he was all over the cast, almost as much as Phil Hartman or more in the early days.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I didn't notice that the first dozen times through the show. But suddenly I'm noticing, so whatever. I'm really enjoying. I'm telling you, man, season 3, season 4 of that show, unbelievably. It's so good. Because season 1 and 2,
yeah,
it's a little rough.
They were figuring things out. They were like, ooh, drawing these people is kind of weird. Can we come up with some more like cleaner looks for all the characters that aren't so, I don't know, almond?
Yeah. And then, Homer finally kind of finds his final voice. Who's another one that changed a lot? Oh, Chief Wiggum sounds different. Like they just hadn't quite nailed it. Like any of these things, they all do this.
Yeah.
They always have a rough season or two. But man, by the time they get to 3 and 4 and you start to see like Conan O'Brien's name in the credits and all that, it's just like top shelf business. It's so funny.
It really is. Yeah.
Anyway,
Monica says, I miss John Lovitz. But don't worry, still alive.
He's
67
still around.
years old. He's still around.
Yeah, he does a lot of podcasting and
I think
stuff.
he was even in something recently. Wasn't he in did I just see him in Only Murders in the Building, or what did I just see? I could have sworn I just saw him in something.
That feels like he'd be in that, doesn't it?
It totally does. It is absolutely his jam, his people.
Let's see, John Lovitz.
He was on an episode of Magnum P.I. last year. Oh, Human Resources. No, not Human Resources. I don't watch that.
Let's see. Tonight Show. Let's see. Space Force.
Space Force. I did see that, so that's probably where I saw him.
Based on the Christmas Miracle. Love the Rock. Tales from the
AP Bio. Oh, AP Bio. Oh my God, that show is so good.
Yeah, that was a shame.
Was so good.
It's a shame that went away. He's an interesting dude. He's apparently kind of nutty now. Like he's in like if you know him, according to some podcasts I heard, he's just a little nuts. But every time he shows up, every time I hear that voice, a little piece of me gets excited.
Like when you say nuts, like he's...
I don't mean like he's a pervert or anything. I mean like he's like just really eccentric and maybe hard to be around or something.
Which I would expect.
Yeah.
You love that he and Andy Dick have a feud. Or did, anyway.
Everybody and Andy Dick fight, don't they?
Yeah.
Freaking Andy Dick. That guy seems like his last name is correct.
Totally.
But like I saw him on one of my favorite things I see him on is whenever I've seen, and it's been a while, but when I watch a rewatch of Three Amigos, he plays like the studio head, like the movie studio.
Yeah.
And it's the perfect Lovitz job. He's got a big cigar and he's going, listen, we don't have time for this, see? Like it's that whole like thing he does with that voice.
Yes, that 1920s announcer voice.
Freaking love it.
I just the other thing he was really good at is just the sad sack. Like that was a big thing with him and Tom Hanks on SNL.
Yeah.
They'd be the two guys sitting on the side as a beautiful woman walks by and they go, "Here she comes." And there she goes, completely unaware that we exist.
Yeah.
But I did just see him on Friends as a date that Joey sets up with Phoebe, and he's basically that same sad sack kind of character. Like, you'd think that because I have no looks and no personality that I'm rich. Well, you'd be wrong.
I love it. Yeah. That's why Lovitz is in his last name, because we love it.
Yes, because we love it.
That's right. So I got a fun story to tell you here, dude.
Okay.
So
all right.
last night, Kim and I, just in the late afternoon, we're like, let's get out of here for a minute and just go sit like at a coffee shop, get a Danish, hang out, talk, whatever. Just one of those nights. And wanted to do it before, because we knew snow was coming today. So we're just like, let's go over and do that. So we do that. We go to this place called Beans and Brews, which is a popular local chain. I don't know if they've expanded out of here yet, but I'm pretty sure it started here.
I haven't made it to Colorado yet, but I like the name. I'm assuming coffee in the morning, beer at night?
Good question. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know about the beer. That's a good question. I've only ever gone there like as a midday thing or whatever, but they may actually have stuff on tap. I never thought about it. But
figure with brews. I mean, it could obviously be brews like brewing coffee, but I thought, maybe beer in the morning, beer, coffee in the morning, beer at night.
Beer in the morning, beer the rest of the day, beer all the time. It's more of
just coffee. It looks like
okay. So they're just I've just never been there that late. But anyway, Beans and Brews is they call it. Everyone just says Beans. You want to meet me at Beans? That's how they say it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I would say they're primarily an alternative to like all the Starbucks everywhere, because they don't burn their stuff, and I don't know, they're just better. They're better. If you're in Utah and you're like, man, we got to get a quick coffee, go to the Beans and Brews across the street from the freaking Starbucks, because it's just better. Anyway, So we're over there, and this really nice guy at the counter, and he comes out and he sees Kim's purse. Kim has this purse that's shaped like a bird. It's like a strap around your shoulder kind of purse, so it's like a.
Oh, cool. Is it the one that Bjork had at the Academy Awards back when she was up for Dancer in the Dark?
Hold on, let's look that up.
No, it definitely isn't, because that was a big old goose that dropped an egg as she walked down.
Okay. Well, you know what? Shape-wise, though, maybe similar. It's like it almost had like the.
So the neck of the bird is part of the strap.
Yeah. So the strap it bends up, and then the head turns into the strap, and then at the bottom is kind of the fat end of the bird where the feet are.
Gotcha. Okay.
And it's supposed to be, well, this is part of the story. So he goes, guy goes, "Oh my gosh, I love your purse." This is his voice. Okay. I'm not making any implications here. This is literally what he sounded like.
That is what his voice was.
He goes, he just goes, "I love your purse," like that. And she goes, "Oh, thank you. It's so nice." And I pipe up like the big dodo idiot on the other side of this thing. I go, "Yeah, that penguin thing's pretty cool, right?" And the guy goes, "Sir, that's a duck." Like that. In that voice. And sure enough, he's right. It's a black duck. It's a black duck with a little orantive bill and a little orange feet, and it's clearly a duck. But to me, I just thought penguin. My wife's had it for 6 months. I've never thought of it as anything other than a penguin. But it took this guy
walks like a duck, must be a penguin.
Yeah. So this guy at a coffee shop is like correcting me on what version of bird my wife's purse is based on. And he did it in a way, this is the funniest part about that.
Yeah.
You could say that in 100 different ways, and most of them are kind of offensive. Most of them are kind of condescending. But he didn't sound that way at all. He was just like, "Sir, that's a duck." And so laughing. And I don't ever get called sir.
Gotcha.
And so all I could do was laugh, and we had a great time. And he was so nice. And when he was done, he's like, "Your coffee's ready and your tea." And he's like just the most cool, like over the top. I don't know if the word's
flamboyant.
Flamboyant, is that the word now? Still?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think
it's not offensive. I don't think
flamboyant is no, I wouldn't think so.
Okay. The only thing I wasn't sure about is he's wearing this T-shirt that maybe you would have known who the band was, but he had this crazy looking T-shirt that said, always rebel something, and then there was an image of something. It wasn't like Sex Pistols or some kind of punk band.
Right. It wasn't, but the band name wasn't necessarily on there. It was a picture of the band and then something always rebel.
Yeah. And I assume on the back there's probably more like concert stuff or something.
Yeah. Could be a tour listing or something.
Yeah. So I didn't see all that, but he was just so, and then he was, by the end we're leaving. We were there for probably an hour just talking, and then we leave and we're out, and I go, thanks. And he goes, oh, you're so welcome. Come back anytime. And every time he was done talking, he put his hands together and do this. He'd go, thanks.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he was stoked. Yeah. So anyway, don't confuse your penguins with your ducks, I guess, is what you don't do.
No. Boy, good thing it wasn't a cheetah purse.
Oh, my gosh, dude. See, that's the first thing I thought of, too. It was like,
I'm sure it was, yeah.
Yeah. So this is like, I almost wanted Kim to look at me the way you did the day I said that and just go, Scott, yeah, he's a cheetah.
That's a duck.
That's a duck.
Scott, that's a duck.
Because it needs to be said in that tone, right? That like.
Yeah, but I wasn't. I hope I don't think I was even being condescending.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Scott, that's a duck.
No, you were being very. You were very matter of fact. It was
cheetah,
like.
Yeah.
It's like.
Cheetah, Scott.
Yeah, you need to like. Honestly, you need to just reset everybody right then and go. It's a cheetah.
Right.
Chester Cheetah. Otherwise, what are you going to say to me? Like, you did it the right way. That went down in TMS history for a reason. It
is classic. I think it might be our best moment.
Stupidest thing I ever said.
So far.
All right. We also got a text from Jeff. This is no particular Jeff, just Jeff.
Just Jeff. Not
just
Jeff
Jeff
Sire, but just Jeff.
Just a Jeff of some kind. He wrote in, says, for TMS, yesterday, you and Brian discussed delving into history as a means to cope with what went down this week. He was talking about my reading of history to help me deal with just deal with the stress of the election. And I still been doing that a bunch, by the way. Last night I learned about, I'm sure I was told some form of this in school, but I didn't really know much about the Louisiana Purchase and how all that worked. Mm-hmm. That was massive. Like what that turned out to be, and it was cheap. Like at the end of the day, even allowing for massive amounts of inflation from the 1700s, early 1800s, we got a deal.
We could GoFundMe a Louisiana Purchase today.
Yeah. That's a little bit what it feels like. It feels like, you know what it feels like?
An attainable amount. Like, raise that amount for Alzheimer's or something.
Yeah, it's like you're in the market for a house and the grandma up the street says, "Oh, I'm gonna die soon, and I don't need this place. You can just have it for, let's say, $1,000." And it would be like that in a market where everything else is $400,000, $500,000, $600,000. It feels like that kind of deal, and it's crazy how we got it, how it all went down. It was nuts, and if we hadn't done it, or if it hadn't been on the table at all, massive difference as to the trajectory of who we even are. Like,
totally.
Couldn't be different, right? So that was fascinating. Anyway, back to his text. You're talking about reading that stuff as a means to cope with what went down this week. I wanted to chime in that I am currently listening to the Hamilton musical soundtrack on repeat. It is helping remind me what the real pain for this country was, and maybe some hope that we can get there again. Did I write pain? Country. You know what? Zoom that in a little bit. There we go. Yeah. I couldn't see that.
Up your prescription.
Yeah, no, that's a good way. I actually have new glasses coming today.
Oh, you do? Oh, good. Nice.
Apparently, my right eye has deviated some quarter of a point or whatever the hell. I don't know how they do eyes, whatever it is. And yeah.
I can't talk. Half the time I'm like, nope, I think I need to wear 2 pairs simultaneously.
Thing is, I can wear them. I can have them not on, and it's fine. Mm-hmm. But the reason I wear them now is because I can sit back a little more, and I can see you and stuff we do on this screen with these. But if I don't wear them, I have to do this. And that takes me away from the microphone. Nobody likes that.
Oh, yeah. No, you don't want to do that.
So eyes are dumb, and thanks a lot, eyeballs. Anyway. Point is, Jeff, that's a great way to do it. That soundtrack's amazing. And
I'm going to listen to that this week. We've got a smaller subject for soundography this week in Nirvana. So far fewer albums than frickin' Mr. Bungle and Faith No More dude, Mike Patton, who creates the dude creates new bands like we create podcasts.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. Is he known for
There's
just
so many Mike Patton bands, like different projects that he put together that he started up. Yeah.
Did you guys have to listen to all of it? That's the idea, right?
Yeah, that's the idea. Yeah. Faith No More, Mr. Bungle. He worked with John Zorn a lot. Then he started doing his own solo stuff, but then also started bands like Phantomus and Tomahawk and Hemophiliac and Peeping Tom.
Wow.
These are all new bands that he's started.
Wow.
Yeah.
Feels like he never quite matched the original success.
No, Faith No More was, for me, my favorite of everything that he ever did.
Yeah, that's kind of peak.
And he even joined them late. Like he wasn't their original vocalist. Like he came in late.
No, I didn't know that. That's crazy. Real quick here. So when he's talking about the Hamilton soundtrack, famously, created, directed, written all the music by what's his name?
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
That guy. I was really hoping that he was also coming back to the Moana 2 movie to do music, and he's not. Somebody else, and that bums me out.
Oh, that bums me out too.
Yeah, I think that soundtrack's like a banger, and they didn't bring him back, and I don't know why. I don't know what happened.
All right, I'm going to ask you something. I recommended it a year ago at least, maybe even 2 years ago. Did you watch Tick Tick Boom?
Tick Tick Boom. Yes, I did. I loved it. The one where he's the music guy, and he died from cancer or some shit.
Basically, the character of the guy who did Rent.
That's right,
Stephen Larson.
It was fantastic.
Jonathan Larson.
That movie was great.
That's so good.
Yeah, I meant to report back on that. I love that movie. It was really good.
And freaking Andrew Garfield. We got introduced to him really with Spider-Man, and then that not Hamburger Hill, Hackberry.
Oh, Hacksaw Ridge.
Hacksaw Ridge.
Yeah. Hackberry Hill. I like that.
Hackberry Hill is a makeout point here in Arvada where I took all my prom dates.
That's amazing. Really? Was it?
Yep.
Was it known as? It was known as the place to go.
A church.
Oh, no.
Yes.
This church is built on a make-out ancient burial ground.
Exactly. Has the best view of Arvada, like all of Arvada laid out in front of you at Hackberry Hill. And
perfect place to make out.
Totally. They had to consecrate that place.
Yeah. They had to come exorcise some horny demons.
Right, exactly. Yeah, smudge it.
Yeah, I get that. No, that movie was really, really good.
It was so good.
Yeah, it was
Hacksaw Ridge.
It was awesome.
Anyway, we got introduced with those two things. Had no idea the dude was such a great singer, and then he belts out these vocals that are just incredible. And it's like I want a Spider-Man musical. Let's remake Turn Off the Dark as a movie and star Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man.
I'm down. Let's do it. We already know he can. Music. We know he can do the Peter Parker part. And now we know he can sing. These are
right.
We have all the tools.
He's already got those two parts. So
yeah, I'm in.
It's just a matter of making Turn Off the Dark into something that's apparently watchable because from all reviews it was not.
No, that's what I've heard as well.
Yeah.
Tick Tick Boom though, don't sleep on that if you haven't seen it yet. It's on Netflix. It'll be there forever.
On Netflix. Yeah, it's so freaking good.
It's an original, so it should stay there. But
it'll stay there forever. Yeah.
Really
but
good.
Don't let that mean you'll wait.
Oh yeah.
Wait,
don't do like I do. I do that all the
Yeah.
time, and it turns out that's not always true. Like Max took out a bunch of shit that was supposed to be there in perpetuity.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, wait a minute. My whole theory was
you can't watch HBO original series vinyl on there anymore.
I know. It's so dumb. What are those 2-3 people going to do that want to see vinyl? And don't get me wrong. I'm with Brian. Vinyl was rad.
It's so good.
But nobody knew about it.
My favorite thing that Bobby Cannavale ever did.
Yeah.
And he's done some amazing stuff, but nothing compares to his character on vinyl and the depth, depravity, but also the high points, the low points. He's like the Tony Soprano of the music world on that show.
He's great, dude.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was co-created by Mick Jagger, that show.
Vinyl was? Oh, wow. I didn't know that either.
Rick Cohen, Mick Jagger, and Martin Scorsese, all co-producers on it. That's a bummer.
It turns out that guy's pretty good.
Yeah, he's all right, right?
Yeah.
Oh, and speaking of character actors, there's great character actors in that thing. Ray Romano was amazing in it.
Yes. Oh my God. Everybody hates that guy. I can't remember his character name on vinyl, but he is not the everybody loves Raymond Ray Romano that you're used to.
No, it's nobody likes Raymond in this one.
Yeah.
You guys, that's 10 episodes you should seek out. Unfortunately, it's hard to find, but
You might have to find a complex way of watching.
Yeah, there's probably plexi ways, I would say.
I've got something I'm going to be recommending tomorrow, and my God, big thanks to, I believe it was, let's see, I thought it was Friendly Sleet. Yes, Friendly Sleet 66 in the Tadpole recommended to me what I'm going to be recommending tomorrow.
Ooh.
Freaking amazing.
Nice.
But we've been watching the new Kate Blanchett series on Apple TV Plus, Disclaimer.
Mm-hmm.
And
I've heard mixed
we got
things.
2 episodes left. You've heard mixed things? Yeah.
For the first time in a long time on Apple TV Plus, I'm hearing mixed things.
Yes. Yeah. And my big issue with it is there is a big plot point, a through line for the whole thing that hinges on how somebody knows that something went on where 2 people were around for it and one of them's dead and the other one's not talking.
Ooh.
And how did this other person know anything about what was going on there?
I get it. And so that if you've only got 2 episodes left, are you concerned that
I'm not going to get an answer to that? That's my big worry. Yeah.
Or wait till a whole new season to get it? Maybe that's
it's a limited series. This thing is not.
One-off.
We are not getting any more of this show. It's a self-contained story, and I'm hoping with 2 episodes, I'm hoping they wrap it up. But let me tell you who's amazing in it.
Yeah.
Freaking Kevin Kline.
Really?
Absolutely incredible. Kate Blanchett, no surprise that
she's always good. Yeah,
that she's awesome. Oh, Free Rangers says Disclaimer was good, and he says finish the season, Brian. Oh, okay, cool. All right, good. Then I'm putting my fears. I'm allaying my fears.
I didn't know Mr. Fischoeder was in this thing. Kevin Kline's a favorite of mine. Love him.
And he is compelling as hell in this thing.
All right, you've sold me. Maybe I don't care about all the mixed talk I've been hearing. I think maybe some of what I heard was that they had a bunch of mystery things that took forever to resolve. Maybe that was the problem people had. And that's what you're saying, there's things hanging until the very end.
77% tomato meter, 60% popcorn meter.
It's good.
It's pretty good.
Better than, negatives.
Yeah, but okay. All right. Good. I'm looking forward. I'm not going to read or look at anything else about it because I want these last 2 episodes to wrap it up with no spoilers.
I need to get on Silo. I guess started its new season last night.
Oh, did it really? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's one I'll watch week to week. Like I have to. I love that show so much. Oh my gosh. So I'll be watching that tonight. That might be. I can't recommend something that's only an episode in. Plus, I did it last year.
Yeah, no.
I already did season 1 anyway, so I don't know what to do tomorrow.
You watched something, didn't you? Like I thought you mentioned something in our. Use the thing that you switched. You switched Godfather of Harlem for Terror or something.
So the Terror. You're right. I could do the Terror.
There you go.
You're right. I forgot I pushed that. I can totally do that now that I've seen the full season of that first season. Yeah. Good call. Cool. Hey, tomorrow, the Terror. The Terror is happening tomorrow. All right.
And my thing that I was amazed that I didn't accidentally spoil.
Yeah, you haven't talked about it at all. I'm impressed. Nice job.
Oh my God, so good. And the thing I recommend tomorrow. I'm going to tell people just enough to get them interested, but do not look up anything. Do not research anything. Go in as blind as I was and just have your mind blown.
Oh, I like blown minds.
Yeah, your mind will be blown.
Let it wash over you, man. Let it wash over you.
Exactly. Let it wash over you.
All right, we're going to call Dan early because, again, today's a little short and truncated, and it's Dan's week. So we want to have Dan on. All right? And he agreed to it. He said, yeah, I can come in early. And we said, great. And I have a kind of a hard question for him to start things off before we get into the board games. All right. So let's see how all this goes and see if I can find his little intro here. It's somewhere. Here it is right here.
Here's a tangent for you. Be careful, may cause drowsiness.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program, Dan, the Tabletop Man. Hi, Dan.
Greetings, programs.
Hey, how are you? How are you doing? How's I don't know, what's November like in North Carolina? It's probably very nice, right?
So today, it's starting to cool off, thankfully. I mean, I always say, North Carolina is a weird state because it's often pretty warm, but I want my winters cold and my summers hot as hell. So, but I want to have, you want to have seasons. We don't really usually have, you have like all 4 seasons in one day a lot of times here in North Carolina. So tomorrow it's going to be cold. Yesterday it was like 75. Today it's in the low 60s, and tomorrow it'll be like in the 50s. And then before you know it, it'll be 70 like on Sunday. It's just nuts already. This is why people get sick all the time, just from taking everything for granted and just not even knowing what the hell they're going to wear all the time. So
I get it. I get it. And also I would trade you for today, because today it's very cold and snowing here, and I think what you've described sounds nice. I would live there.
It's weird because I think if I had the snow as much as I used to in New York, or maybe as much as you guys do, I wouldn't love it as much. I love snow, but I always because I want to get 3 good snows here in North Carolina, but generally in like 2 days they're gone.
Yeah.
It's just life as usual. Like it doesn't cripple. Well, I mean, it does cripple us a little bit because nobody's really ready for it down here.
Right.
I mean, what they do is they end up salting the roads, and everybody closes schools when it's even like a possibility of snow. Yeah. And then when it doesn't come, then it just kind of like ruins them for the next time when it actually does snow.
Yeah, Kim's home state of Mississippi literally will shut down if there's even a hint of sleet. It's like, nope, we can't handle it. Cancel everything. We're all done. And I'm up here with like 4 feet driving to work. It's like, what's going on?
Yeah. Well, in all honesty, too. So 4 feet of snow, and it's going to sound weird, but you guys will know exactly what I mean. 4 feet of snow is actually easier to drive than what we get, which is like an inch of ice on the roads, like just pure ice, because we're in that in between. Like it's not cold enough completely to snow, but it's not warm enough just to be water.
And if you got some snow, at least you'd have some traction on the ice, because the snow acts, is a little bit of gives you a little bit of traction.
Yeah, it's like that. It's like that black ice we were talking about last week.
Yeah.
That's just what you get by default over there. Well, I hope that doesn't happen to you this year. But also, I got a question for you. This is a hard one, Dan. Now, as people know, Dan is both a insane board game, tabletop gaming aficionado. All right, he's lord of those things. He's got a whole room dedicated to it. I don't know why he's not divorced.
Lord of the board is what we say.
Yeah, your wife is way dedicated, by the way. I think she's awesome because
she's a saint, absolute saint. Too.
Just letting you live that life. It's amazing. Sure. Anyway, but he's also a professional in the medical world. He's a pharmacist and knows a lot about drug companies and drug stuff in the world and what stuff does and all that. So I got a question for you.
25 years too.
Yeah.
25 years of pharmacist.
That's a career, man. That's what you got right there.
Impressive.
So here's the question. And this is not, I want to preface this by letting everybody know I'm not asking a political question. This is purely a functional question. If it were to be that some campaign promises by the new administration, which will be taking over in January, bunch of stage and speech stuff said things like, we're going to shutter the FDA, or we're going to gut it, or we're going to fire everybody and hire new people, or whatever, all these sorts of things. And it got me to thinking, given the sort of the seismic nature of those kinds of statements in terms of that size of a regulatory part of the country, what would that mean from your perspective as somebody who's in that world? Like you're waiting for approvals, and then approvals happen, and then stuff gets pulled. You have to be aware of that stuff all the time, one would assume, in your job. So if that were to happen, let's just say there's a scenario, some apocalyptic scenario, where somebody yanks the entire agency offline and it doesn't exist anymore. It's Wild West on what's safe to eat, what isn't, all that stuff. What does that mean in the pharmaceutical world, or is it overblown? Like, I'm just curious of your take on that whole idea.
Well, so there's a couple of takes here. So and again, I will restate what Scott said. In no way is this I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a politician, and I'm not trying to get political. I'm just trying to make sense of everything I've seen out there and make sense of the question. And if you don't mind, Scott, I'll steer the question a little bit different too as well. But at first, when you said, what does that mean for the FDA? Well, I don't know if that crazy, from what it looked like, former and future President Trump said, I'm just going to let RFK go nuts on the FDA. And then I've seen a lot of things saying about abolishing this. I don't think that's entirely what he's going to try to do, and I've tried to do some research into what was said and then what is said since then. But anyway, if you abolish FDA, then you got like no drugs or people throwing drugs on the market. Like, it's just mass chaos, people dying, maybe people living, and it's hard to say because you don't know, like, people living because maybe a drug that will work for somebody, but it's going to end up killing like 10 other people because those people shouldn't be on it. Like, it's just, the whole thing is just, it's insane to even think about. And I don't even think anybody, like any one person, president or not, has the power to do something crazy like that. I think this is like akin to, you remember when we were in like junior high? And I'm like, listen, vote for me for class president because I'm going to put a free soda machine in the cafeteria.
Yeah.
And then everyone's like, yeah, go Dan. And everyone else is like, there's no way in hell you're going to get that done.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
because the practicality of some of those statements aren't always going to be, like, when the rubber meets the road in January, you're like, oh, wait.
Yeah. It's bad news, everybody. Couldn't figure out a way to afford it.
Yeah.
Now, I think RFK thinks that that's what he's going to be able to do. But from what I've heard, like, President Trump has been like, well, I'm not really going to let him do all that. I'm going to let him do a couple of things. I'm going to see how he does. He did put the preface on it. The last I saw was, I'm going to give him 2 years to try and figure out, he's trying to put an end to chronic disease in children.
Yeah.
Now, how he plans to do it, I don't know. But some of the things that he did say are some of the hallmarks that I heard 25 years ago when we were in school. And what basic pharmacy, what we learned about with pharmacy is evidence-based medicine. You'll hear that a lot from really good healthcare providers. Now, there's some bad healthcare providers out there that just want to scare you into drugs because they're like, you're going to die, you got to do that. No, evidence-based medicine is what the healthcare system and medicine has been built on for years and years and years. That's why drugs have to be tested for 10, 20 years, and things like, have to be tested so we know they work. Now, a few of the things that he said, a few of the things, I'm just going to go into a few of the claims that I read. So I apologize if I read wrong, guys, just call me out on it. But for what I heard, he wants to put a quote unquote end to corruption in the FDA. Now, there's been no proof that there's corruption, but I think if we read between the lines, I can tell you what I think he means. And I've seen this for, again, 25 years. This is nothing new in the pharma world. I'm going more pharma rather than just FDA as a whole. Now, pharma, everybody knows Pharma Bro. You guys remember Pharma Bro?
Oh, yeah.
So, now,
Martin Shkreli.
Yeah.
So what he did was he took a drug that's only used for like one disease state and he bought up all the ingredients and then he charged $1 gazillion for it and he got called out. Now, let me tell you, this is a little secret that you just don't hear all the time because everybody loves the headlines of Pharma Bro. He's not the first or the only or the last person to do this. The other people just hide behind the fact that they're drug companies doing this.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. Tetracycline. Everybody's heard of tetracycline, right?
I think so.
It's an antibiotic.
Heard of it, but didn't know. Oh, okay. That's what it does? All right. That's good to know.
It's an antibiotic. It's been around forever. Now, it's got some uses, but it really isn't used a whole lot anymore. It's used mostly in H. pylori, which is a big time like ulcer disease. That's the only time it's like still first line for H. pylori. Nowadays, you hear about doxycycline and minocycline. They're called tetracycline derivatives. They work a little bit better, but they're taken from tetracycline. So there's companies that have bought up all the tetracycline, and then they're charging like $800 for one course of tetracycline. Do you hear about them in the news? No. Should that drug be that expensive? No.
Hell
way.
no.
That drug should be $4, not $800. So you're talking about 1,000%. Sorry, my math. I'm just shooting out numbers.
1,000%.
Whatever it is, 1,000% increase because something that should be $4 is now $800 that you're charging insurance companies and people for a drug that shouldn't be that expensive. Now, again, there's a name for this in the world, and I apologize. I don't know what it's called when companies do this, where they buy up these certain drugs and then they just jack it up. Now, but
greed.
that shouldn't
I'd
be
call
done.
it. I'd call it greed, is what I would call it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's greed, and that's one of the things that they technically want to do. Now, are they the first president to try and do this? No. So, I mean, but it is still good that something that they want to do. They were also talking about the GLP-1s now that you hear about, like, your Ozempic and your Wegovy and your Victoza. They're trying to put a cap on, like, why are drug companies charging $1,000 a month for these drugs? Now, things like Byetta and Victoza have been around for a long time. Now, I believe Victoza even just went generic within the last year. So it shouldn't be this much money, and none of them should be that much money either. However, that's kind of a sticky one. Like they use that as an example from some of the articles I read. Now it's a sticky one because some of these are fairly new and they are expensive to produce. And again, a lot of times what you hear is that you're paying more for the next drugs that are coming out,
right.
and that's what they're paying for. Now it doesn't make it right, and I still don't think that these drugs should be that expensive, but they do still cost things to make. Now, whether or not, I don't know, I don't have any inside knowledge. I don't work in that field to know that it actually costs that much for them to make. I can't imagine that a box of Victoza costs $1,000 or maybe even close to that for them to make it. Obviously, there's markups and this and that in the middleman, but still, that still seems a little bit much.
Yeah.
Now, do I think they'll be able to cap some of those things? They should be able to, just like some insulins and generic drugs. Like they should be able to bring a lot of these things down, and that's what they're trying. Whether they'll be able to do anything like that, it'll be.
Let me throw this in there. So if that's their goal, see, this is the problem. This is where it gets weird and goofy to me, because if the goal is, it's a good goal, like to go in there and say we want to stop pharma companies from taking advantage of regular people. Yeah. That makes perfect sense as a thing to do. I think that should be done. However, most of these giant pharmaceutical companies contributed to, who cares what era this is, all campaigns, all politicians get huge donations from that industry. And so what's their motivation to do that? They're not going to go in there and go, yeah, we're going to shake things up and make you not charge so much, even though you gave me $4 million during the campaign. Like there's a quid pro quo going on there that is as old as time. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I just don't, as much as I like high-minded ideas about fixing that stuff, I'm not holding my breath. And I don't care if it's Trump or anyone else. I'm not holding my breath because they all get paid by, like, big pharma. It's such a, people hear that and they just go, oh yeah, big pharma. I mean, just like the pharmaceutical industry is known for this gougey kind of stuff. What will change now? Probably nothing. Right? Probably nothing.
I mean, so there's the next one I wanted to talk about is advertising too. So if you remember, we've talked about in the past about drug reps and what they can or can't do to doctors, and they cleaned that up in the, I think it was early to mid 2000s, where they cleaned up what they could do to give the docs, because they're obviously influencing docs prescribing. Now, what they're talking about now is all these advertisements. I mean, you watch TV or even streaming services now, you see nothing but advertisements. I mean, you still see the Viagra ads, and you're going to see a lot of the GLP-1 ads, and you're going to see the SLG2, like things like Jardiance, Ozempic, even some of the injectables like Dupixent and some of these things. You're still seeing those commercial ads like crazy. So what that does twofold. That is getting people to ask their doctors to write these meds that are more expensive than other meds that they could use that would do the exact same thing. And two, when they're on networks, they're talking about how they're only covering news for the drugs that they have advertisers on their stations for. Now, that is not something you would readily think about. Now, again, I don't think that's political at all, but that's just what is, I mean, it's just kind of common sense. Like, again, you're talking about, I think you even mentioned it too, Scott, like people, all this money is going into it, and that's why, so they're covering news from these things talking about these particular drugs because, hey, they're big advertisers on a station. I mean, that stuff's been going on for 40, 50 years since TV was
since we had TV and Bayer Asprin decided to advertise on it. The thing is, like Ozempic's case, that's an example of, that is the most brand name, that's what everyone knows, right? I don't know how much it costs them.
Wegovy, the catchy Wegovy commercials.
Yeah,
you see.
And I don't know what those Ozempic people have to pay to keep using that song. The Ozempic.
Yeah.
But it sure
and
seems
it's
like
Greatest Showman. So Wegovy uses Greatest Showman. That's Disney.
Pilot, the band, doesn't really have anything else to lean on, so selling out with their song "Magic" is just fine.
I was just gonna say this is a case where their one hit really is a wonder. They've really
I mean, I can't imagine what Wegovy's paying to. I mean, again, isn't Greatest Showman Disney? So they got to be paying Disney rights for that. The one song that they took, "This Is Me."
That's right.
So think about that. I mean, and I don't know. Again, I'm not a lawyer, so I can't imagine that's under some sort of exception where you're allowed to do that. They've got to be
definitely.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is I think it's obviously everything's always more complicated than we think it is on the surface, right? Like regular people on the ground, we don't know the industry, we don't understand any of this stuff. And I would just warn people that if you hear something on a campaign trail from whoever you support, and they make some kind of really simple sounding promise on a microphone, 99% of the time, maybe even 99.9% of the time, they don't actually have a path for that. It's too simple what they've said. They say, we're going to wipe out the department of whatever. No, they're not.
Right. Without any sort of like, but here's what that the money is going to go towards, or here's how we're going to do some of the things that department was able to do that are important.
Or here's how I'm not going to piss off people who've contributed $500 million to my campaign. Like it's way too much. There's all this murky shit. And so there's two lessons here. One, the pharma world is more complicated than you think. And two, don't believe simple things from people who are trying to get your vote. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Well, and get also, not to tell anybody how to live, but try to get your news from more than one source. Like try to get your news from all over the place. Like, and see, I always try to say, like when I look at studies, like the perfect example is drug studies. Where is the money coming from? Where no matter how clean a drug study is, there still can be a little bit of bias in the way they made. I mean, I did this for a year in school where it was all about dissecting studies and how to get to the bottom. Like you can't just go by one study, you got to go by a bunch, because again, follow the money and see where you're going. It's the same thing with news. If you see that someone's like pitchforks here and the other side is pitchforks here, try to find different sources that have no real outcome to like what they're bringing in. It's kind of clickbait too, in a way.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, that's why I've turned everything off. I don't trust anything anymore. I'm done.
Every bit of news with who stands to gain the most from you seeing this news, and if there's a lot, then it's probably bullshit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Can I go on a? This might be, I guess, 180. It was 180 turning straight around, right?
Oh, I love a good 180. Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. So last night, so my daughter, guys, we're old. I'm sure I say this all the time. We're old. My daughter is turning 21 in a couple of weeks.
Oh,
which is insane to me.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
good luck with that.
Oh man, I can only imagine. Actually, my daughter, I'm more worried when my son, who's about to turn 18 in January, I'm more worried about when he turns 21 than when my daughter turns 21. She's pretty easy. But we took her to see Pink last night.
Okay.
And now I'm not a concert guy. I'm kind of an old fuddy-duddy, but when you go to concerts, you kind of remember what you loved about concerts.
Sure.
Which is crazy, and it was a lot of fun. And now, Brian, I don't know if you've seen Pink. I mean, I know
I've never seen Pink live, but I'd love to, because I hear she is an incredible show person. Like she
is
an incredible show. Yeah.
It is insane, the stuff. There's a really funny thing from Fallon from a couple weeks ago where Brett Goldstein, who's Roy Kent, was talking about how Pink went to see him and he's just standing there, and then he went to see her and she's just flying all over the stadium, and he's like, what? I'm nothing. That's the way I feel. I sit here in front of a computer doing reviews, and Pink is flying around and all over. I mean, it's insane, the stuff that she does, and it's all her run all around. And of course, middle-aged straight white guy, I only know like half the songs. I know all the popular ones, and I enjoyed. I'm jumping around, having a good time. And it's a lot of fun. It was so much fun. And then Maren Morris, do you know who that is?
Oh yeah. What was her big hit?
The Middle, I think, is what it was called.
The Middle. Okay. Yep.
Middle.
I can't remember.
That's the song. The song is called The Middle.
Yeah, it's she did it. It was what a guy. I think there was like a synth part to it. So it's Zed, Maren Morris, and Gray. It's called The Middle.
Oh,
is the name. Meet me in the middle is
Meet
like
me in the middle. That's it.
There it is.
Meet me in the middle.
Okay, I know that one. That was
it's
sounded
a really
really
good
familiar.
song. So I guess she's kind of like country pop. Is what she
crossover.
is. Yeah. She was real good. I mean, like, so we sat through the opening. We're watching her. I'm like, am I going to know any of these? And my wife knew, because my wife being Southern, not the stereotype Southerners, but she loves country. So she knows more of some of the other ones because they play them on this country XM station. And then she sings that song, and I'm like, is she covering this, or is she actually singing this? Because I've never heard of her, but that's apparently her song. And it was great. She did everything she sang was great, just not necessarily my cup of tea, but that song is amazing. But then Pink comes out, and of course it's like Raise Your Glass, and it's, I mean, it was
Give Me
just
One Reason, and parties, get the party started. And I mean, when you start listening to a Pink greatest hits, or when you listen to that episode of Coverville that I did a few weeks ago for Pink's birthday, you're like,
I'm gonna have to download that.
You are gonna have to download that. You're gonna be surprised that you've got the experience at the concert of like, oh my god, yeah, I forgot about this song. Oh, this is another great one. Oh yeah, I totally know this one. Like she has got so many songs that you might not realize how many you know.
You know, it's a little weird when I think of her.
How,
I think about how every time I think of Pink, I think about if I was somewhere in the dark and she showed up, she'd kick the shit out of me. Because I wouldn't want to mess with her, right? Like if you put her in a bad situation or cornered her or something like that, I think she would just wreck you. You.
Yeah.
She's just like the toughest singer lady. Anyway.
Was she with a Corey Hart? Was he she was with him for a while. Was he like MMA fighter or something, or am I thinking of something? Is he a skateboarder? I can't remember.
Not Corey Hart, the singer.
Not Corey Hart, Sunglasses at Night, but a different Corey Hart.
I would love that.
BMX. Oh, Raven says BMX. Okay.
Oh, BMX.
Not different 3 letters, not MMA, BMX.
There you go. I like that.
But in the same instance, she's definitely somebody I want to be at a bar with.
Yeah.
Because she's going to just have a great time.
Oh, she's going to have a blast.
Yeah, she's awesome.
And you know what I noticed too? So I don't know if a lot of singers do this. Now, this is not disparagingly because I know when you have a million songs and you're doing a lot of things, there were monitors all over the, like they're kind of almost semi-hidden, but had all the words for her. So no matter where she was on the stage, their words were there for her. Now, God bless.
I would need that.
I would absolutely need that myself.
I would 100% need that. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like especially.
But I also love when they cover.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love when artists cover other artists when they're like doing a concert.
Did Marin do any covers?
No, well, I don't know because I didn't recognize anything that she did. But Pink did.
Pink has occasionally done Bohemian Rhapsody in concert.
Awesome.
What'd she do? What songs?
She cover when you saw her?
So last night she did I guess it's called What's Up. That's the 49 Blondes.
Yeah.
Did that. And she had the whole place screaming and yelling, which is great.
Hey,
and
yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
And she did Heartbreaker by Pat Benatar.
Oh, that's a good one for her. Boy, she is like the perfect attitude to cover anything by Pat Benatar or Joan Jett.
Yeah, Joan Jett. By the way, those are 2 other ladies that would kick my ass in an alleyway.
Yeah,
those ladies.
Oh, I think. I think Carly Rae Jepsen probably would put up a good fight with you too. So.
All right, I'll take that as the insult it was meant to be. So, by the way, I was thinking of The Middle by Jimmy Eat World. I had the whole wrong song in my head.
Oh, yeah. No,
right.
The Maren Morris one.
Yeah, I screwed that up.
Although I'd love to hear Maren Morris sing The Middle, just to hear what that would sound like, too. It would probably be very slow and methodical, I guess.
I've got 2 covers by Maren Morris in my catalog. She covers Billy Idol's Dancing with Myself and Elton John's Mona Lisa's and Mad Hatters.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Like a nice ballady deep cut and a arena rocker.
I was gonna say quite the range there. Big chasm between those.
And they're both women that are teeny tiny and would fit in your pocket because I think they're both like 5'2" or something like that.
Oh, really? Pink for some reason I thought was a lot taller. I guess not. Huh.
No, fiery little thing.
And funny because Maren Morris, she dresses to look like she's a lot taller because she's pretty thin. So the way she dresses, and then when I saw that she was only like 5'2", I goes, man, she must surround herself with some short people too.
Yeah,
to make her look a little taller.
I think
move.
Pink could be like alternate reality or alternate universe X-23. Man, just put some claws on her.
Oh, there you go.
Tear you up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Carter would protect me. That's right, chat room.
She totally would.
She's got that
with
same
her,
strength.
Spiky necklace or the collar thing.
She has like defensive gorilla strength when it's needed. Mm-hmm. She will destroy a fool. Dan, in the final 10 minutes we have with you today.
Yes.
Actual board games.
Yeah, let's get to whatever you can fit into that time frame. What do you got?
Oh, I just got one for you, and we're going to talk about this. Is kind of an IP game. This is by Dire Wolf. This is called, and now this IP is really hot because it's about Invincible. This is Invincible, the hero building game.
Okay.
And now there's just games coming out like crazy for Invincible. Now there's a card game, which kind of looks very, very normal, very samey card game. This is the hero building game. This is by Dire Wolf, and it is kind of a bag building, kind of deck building game or tableau building. It's a ton of fun. I got to play this at Gamers for Cures, which was last weekend. We did Gamers for Cures, and I talked about this, I think, in the last time I was on with this. That's the charity event that I run. It's like a board game marathon at Gamers Armory in Cary. We raised right around 13,000. The numbers are still kind of waiting to hear from the store about some raffles and stuff. So it was a really good event. So thanks for everybody out there that either came or donated.
That's awesome. Is that your? Sounds like your highest get. That's a really big number.
No. You know what? When I keep looking back, somehow, like now I know how hard I work, and we raised 13,000. 2 years in a row, we raised 22,000. I'm still like, how in the world did I ever raise that?
Yeah,
we raised
insane.
about 170 to date. But it's just the generosity of people is just unbelievable. It's great, and from publishers and local businesses and everything else. But this is a game that's it's actually a Scott and a Brian game.
Sweet.
So it's a Brian read the rules and Scott plays the game, which would be nice and easy. That's how we go with this one.
Nice, yeah, love it.
So
cool.
you're drawing cubes out of a bag. So you have different. Now it's kind of a campaign game. Like you can play it either just like one off, or there's a campaign that you go through, which has like 7 episodes, and then you have a lot of the villains that you would see throughout the show or the books, the comic run.
Right.
And then you have some of the big bads that are in there. And now everybody's taking the role of one of the heroes through the, using like Invincible or Adam Eve or Robot, one of them, or I can't remember the other one.
Nuclear dude that is Madzukas doing the voice, and I can't remember his character name.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I like him a lot. He's great as a character.
And so you're basically you've got different cards that you'll be adding throughout the game. You're going to be adding superpowers to your tableau, and then you've got a bunch of cubes in your bag. Now you've got things like blue cubes, blue, yellow, orange, and black cubes in your bag. Now the black cubes are the bad ones. You've got like 6 of those in there, and you're basically pushing your luck. So you're drawing 3 cubes at a time, and then as you draw those cubes, you're assigning them to your different powers. Now your superhero has certain powers that are come normally on their board. And then each round you will be adding cards, you're purchasing powers that you're adding, and then there'll be ultimate powers you can add as well. But as you're adding those cubes to those powers, you're then triggering what they do. Then you're helping each other out or defeating some villains or rescuing some bystanders and such. And what's cool is the little bystanders are all, again, characters from the game that you would recognize, characters from the comic that you would recognize throughout there. It is a lot of fun. So you're adding other cubes to every round. You're adding other cubes to your board, but you've got to try to push your luck because once you get 5 black cubes, then you basically get knocked out, and you're trying to avoid having to do that. So that's where the push your luck goes in. But when you do draw a black cube early, it's good because they're wild power, like they're wild colors that you can put anywhere. And then you're just basically going out, you're thwarting some of their schemes, and you're also attacking the supervillains and saving some of the bystanders. It's a lot of fun. It's not really hard to learn whatsoever, and it's pretty quick to play each one of these. I mean, you play it in about 90 minutes, each one of these different scenarios. And again, you probably learn the game in 15, 20 minutes once Brian reads the rules.
Reads it to me, yeah. Yeah, reads it to me. I'll lay on a couch. He can read it to me that way.
I hope we can have this in Vegas because this looks awesome. This looks like, number one, any building game where it's not just cards, but you've also got like tokens and cubes and things like that. I love the addition of that. This reminds me a lot of Marvel United, where you have to put things on those cards that you pull from a different source to defeat them, basically. Really, this looks really cool.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
I
Designed by
love bag building and deck building.
Kevin Spack, known for good stuff, right? That dude. Let's see. Yeah, he did.
Not really.
Really,
he's kind of a fairly newer. He's fairly new. I
thought that Oathbreakers game wasn't the Oathbreakers Game of Thrones thing was supposed to be pretty good, or am I thinking of something?
It was hard. I mean, it didn't get a huge because it was just it's very hard to sell such a large game because that's a 5 to 8 player game.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to sell those to be like people want. The 3 to 4 player games that but this being that's more of a very social game, and again another IP game from Dire Wolf that if you've got that many people, it's a pretty fun kind of social game where it's team based with and social to it. But it's but this is going to be probably one of his big breakouts. I think he's kind of an in-house guy at Dire Wolf as well. So he probably has some others that he probably doesn't get credit for that he's worked on in some development with them as well.
I hope Dire Wolf, when they make, they don't always do this, but when they make a digital version of their stuff, I always enjoy those.
Clank is great.
Yeah, their Clank digital thing is really good.
So good.
Yeah. So this Invincible game sounds like a would make a decent transition if they wanted.
Seems like it would, yeah.
Yeah.
It also
Yeah.
it's funny. It also reminded me a little bit of Clank with the pulling cubes out of a bag. So I didn't realize until just now that these are the guys who did Clank as well. So it all fits.
Yeah, and
Very
what's weird
funky.
about the so they have Direwolf and Direwolf Digital. So Direwolf Digital, I think they did I think it's Eternal or is like a CCG.
Yeah.
But they've also got board game and they also bring board game digitally that they didn't necessarily produce, because I'm pretty sure they are the ones that just put out Cascadia, which is basically from a different company, which is AEG and the other parent company that AEG I think just distributed Cascadia now. But Cascadia is an amazing game.
They did that
But they do a lot of
Elder
digital.
Scrolls CCG was also theirs. It's gone now.
Oh, that was really good too.
I think
Is it
Bethesda,
gone now?
I think Bethesda canceled it. Maybe it's still playable, but it's not actively being worked on. But it was, I felt like anyway, in the thrust of all the Hearthstone likes, that one stood out. That game was great. Really fun to play.
And it brought a cool thing where they had different lanes where you could have different overarching rules to each lane. Like sometimes you would play and it would be like, oh, every character here has first strike, but on this side it's just regular. Like that's what they did. That was kind of their change. And what I liked about it is they had a solo campaign like right out of the bat for that particular CCG.
Yeah, that was really good. It bummed me out, but that was when Bethesda was doing all kinds of weird cuts, and then they sold themselves to Microsoft, and none of that stuff survived. So it's a bummer. But
I hope this one comes to digital. The problem is it being an IP is that it's all over the place as far as who gets the licenses to be able to do it digital. Like they may have the IP to put this one out in a board game form with this, because the card game is a completely different company. So there's somebody has the IP for the card game. They have the IP for this particular board and I guess it's not board and dice, but it's like the board version. Now I don't know if they'd be allowed to put it out IP, but it would be an amazing game to put out digitally.
yeah, well, we'll have to keep our eye on it. This looks great. I hope we do see it in Vegas. That'd be a fun game to play with a bunch of folks.
Somebody buy it and somebody bring it.
Yeah, somebody buy it and then bring. I mean, if you want to be the same person who buys it and brings it, we're fine with
it would
that.
make the most sense.
It really would, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
We don't want anyone to buy it and then send it to a guy and then have him bring it.
No, that seems silly.
Bring what you buy is what we're saying. All right.
Yeah. If I'm able to come this year, I'll definitely bring it out there. I just have to check with my schedule.
Dan, we would love to have you in Vegas. That would be
Every time we
amazing.
can get you, it's a highlight.
Yeah, and the board game day is always a blast. You would eat it up, and we'd love to have you. So.
Oh yeah.
And
Dan,
you'd be there to help me with a Taskmaster thing that I'm thinking about for 2025. So consider it. Consider it.
Absolutely.
Put it on
Yeah,
your
hit me up. We'll see what
consideration
we can do.
list.
Sure, will do.
Dan, it's always good talking to you, of course. Tell people where they can get your podcast and what's going on there.
Well, you can hit me up on Twitter at BoardGameDan, and you can find the Geek All Stars podcast. We'll be recording a new one tonight where we're doing a recap of Gamers for Cures. We'll mostly be talking about the different games we played, which will include, I'll have a nice deep dive on Invincible, the hero building game as well. And you can find me here.
All right. Well, there you go.
I get to talk to you,
Yep.
amazing gentlemen.
Well, enjoy all the times you get to see the Utah Hockey Club play any team you're loving up there.
They need to get their name, damn it. Get their name.
They're working on it, according to someone I talked to, but also they're not winning a lot, and that's bumming me out. But anyway, Dan, have a fantastic week. We'll see you next time. All right.
It's a building year.
It's definitely a building year. Oh, my gosh.
It's not a rebuilding year. It's a building year.
Yeah, it definitely feels like it. Real quick, we got a note from somebody. He had an alternate for the censored WAP lyrics. This is from an anonymous listener.
Yeah.
He thinks it should be waffles and pancakes. He says, coming in a future release of the family-friendly CD series, the lyrics practically write themselves. See that syrup drip, drip. My WAP will make your butter melt. Anyway.
It does write itself. Wow.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Waffles and pancakes, though. Wow, it'd be a very big switch from the waffles or pancakes.
Yeah, exactly.
Battle.
I've always said that. People say waffles or pancakes. I say, give me both.
Why not waffles and pancakes?
I love them both. I'm not going to pick one over the other. Speaking of picking things over another, here's what you should do tomorrow at 11 a.m. instead of something else. Okay? So this is your pick tomorrow. World of Warcraft, or specifically Warcraft, is having their 30-year anniversary stream tomorrow, and that's everything from Warcraft 1 up through WoW, and we don't even know what this thing's going to be, although there's been some leaked info about a remaster of 2 and some other stuff. But Bobby and I are going to watch it for the instance in real time at 11 a.m. So come for the live thing. We'll also put it up on the feeds later. It will be a public thing, so not just Patreon only. So if you're interested in such things, that's tomorrow, 11 a.m., pretty quick after TMS, about an hour after we're done, or half hour. And come
Yeah,
watch.
do we have
come
Tom
watch.
back tomorrow?
We do have Tom back tomorrow. So we
I
got
think
nice.
we have Tom and Nicole and Randy, so we're gonna have to keep it tight.
Yeah,
keep
tight,
things
tight. Tom will keep
Like
it
a
tight.
tiger.
It's the recommendals that often get a little off the rails, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But that's the plan, so do check that out if you have a minute tomorrow. All right, Brian, that's going to do it for today. Let's play a song and leave these people with a little tune.
Yeah, Jazz Champ in the Discord wrote in, Richard Gibbons. He says, it's been 5 years since I submitted my last request, and I would like to dedicate another one to my beautiful wife of now 30 years. He says, Amy Jolie, it certainly doesn't seem like 1994 is 30 years ago, but here we are. Through 30 years of challenges, elation, turmoil, victories, glory, and even some serenity, we've tackled a lot of life's trials, and I can't imagine doing any of it without you. I look forward to another 30 years and more together.
Nice.
He says, as Amy Jolie is a big fan of Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers, I thought I'd request a cover of Through the Years by Kenny Rogers if you have one that you can recommend. If not, I trust you'll find a great alternative. Thanks, Brian. Signed, Richard Gibbons.
Nice.
So here's the thing about Through the Years. It is a very slow, sweet. It's a sweet song, but my gosh, it is tough to do first thing in the morning. And I don't have any covers of it that don't just sound exactly like it. So I'm sticking with the Kenny Rogers, and I've got a kick-ass cover of The Gambler. Hopefully, Amy Jolie likes this, and hopefully you like this. This was from a band that, worked with me in the very early years of Coverville, a band called Uncle Seth. I did an interview with them, and they sent tons of music. This is one of the songs they sent that I actually never used for Coverville, even though there's zero reason for me not to have. This is their cover of Kenny Rogers, The Gambler, recorded live at Say What, but it's CEST because they're Canadian. Say What, March 7th.
All right, here we go. Let's play it. And the thing we haven't talked about is your AOL guy that you used to do stuff with.
Oh, I know. I need to bring out the You've Got Coverville recording that he did for me. That poor guy.
Yeah, just passed away. Nice and old, though.
Yeah, nice and old. And you know what? Never seemed to be unhappy or have any problems.
No.
Seemed to always be a really good, happy guy for what he contributed to history.
Yeah, and it's a big one. People all know it. It's a pretty impressive little mark to leave. So rest in peace, that guy. All right, here's the song. We'll see you guys tomorrow for another edition of TMS.
Oh, looks like someone just got their ears caught in the audio cookie jar. It's okay. You can have another, and another after that at frogpants.com.
That was a well-plotted piece of non-claptrap that never made me want to retch.
Oh,
Jeez.
it sure was.
I think that's